Part 1. Ancient Civilizations, the First Colombians. Long before Spanish ships arrived, the land we now call Colombia was home to sophisticated indigenous civilizations. Groups like the Muisca, Tairona, Quimbaya, and Zena built complex societies, known for their gold work, engineering, and astronomy. The Muisca, for instance, organized advanced economies using salt and emeralds as currency and inspired the myth of El Dorado with their golden rituals. The Tairona created stone cities deep in the Sierra Nevada mountains. These were not scattered tribes, but proud nations with spiritual, political, and economic systems. The first Colombians lived in balance with nature, and their legacy still echoes in Colombia's landscapes, crafts, and indigenous voices today. Part 2. Spanish Conquest and Colonial Rule, 1499 to 1717. In 1499, Spanish explorers first landed on Colombia's coast. Within decades, conquistadors like Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada had marched inland, conquered the Muisca Confederation, and founded Bogotá in 1538. The Spanish imposed their language, religion, and rule. Gold mines and encomiendas, forced labor systems, enriched the empire but devastated native populations. Colombia became part of the Viceroyalty of Peru, and later the Viceroyalty of New Granada. Catholic missions, Spanish law, and African slaves shaped society. Despite oppression, indigenous resistance and Afro-Colombian culture survived. The seeds of rebellion were quietly sown beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to bloom. Part 3. Independence and the Dream of Gran Colombia, 1717 to 1831. Inspired by the Enlightenment and revolutions in America and France, the people of New Granada began to rise. In 1810, Bogotá declared autonomy, sparking a long and brutal war. The hero of this movement was Simón Bolívar, El Libertador, who led armies across the Andes to liberate Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Peru. In 1819, Bolívar helped establish Gran Colombia, a grand union of newly freed nations. But internal divisions soon fractured the dream. By 1831, Gran Colombia collapsed, and the Republic of New Granada, later Colombia, was born. Independence was won, but unity remained elusive. The country entered the 19th century with hope, pride, and deep uncertainty. Part 4. Civil Wars and the Search for Stability, 1831 to 1903. Throughout the 19th century, Colombia was torn between liberals and conservatives, centralists and federalists. These ideological battles led to 8 civil wars and constant political upheaval. The most devastating was the War of the Thousand Days, 1899 to 1902, a brutal conflict that left over 100,000 dead and the nation in ruins. In 1903, weakened and divided, Colombia suffered a historic loss, the secession of Panama, supported by the United States to build the Panama Canal. For Colombians, it was a national wound that symbolized the cost of division. Yet, from this period of chaos, a new republic began to form, tired of war, longing for peace. Part 5. Coffee, Growth, and Uneven Prosperity, 1903 to 1948. In the early 20th century, Colombia entered a period of economic growth, thanks to coffee exports. A new middle class emerged, cities expanded, and the arts flourished. Colombia began to define its identity, proud, hardworking, and rooted in both Andean tradition and Caribbean vibrancy. But the prosperity was uneven. Rural inequality and political rivalry simmered beneath the surface. Tensions exploded in 1948 when presidential candidate Jorge Eliezer Gaitán was assassinated. His death triggered the Bogotazo, a massive riot that left Bogotá in flames and launched the country into a period known as La Violencia, one of the bloodiest chapters in Colombian history. Part 6. Conflict, Cartels, and Resilience, 1948 to 2000s. From the 1950s onward, Colombia was gripped by violence. Guerrilla groups like FARC and ELN rose up, claiming to fight for social justice. In response, the state armed itself, and paramilitary groups emerged. Meanwhile, in the 1980s, Colombia became infamous for drug trafficking. Figures like Pablo Escobar and the Medellin cartel turned cities into war zones. Thousands died, including politicians, judges, and innocent civilians. Yet Colombia fought back. Journalists, activists, and everyday citizens resisted the chaos. The 1991 Constitution enshrined human rights and diversity. Slowly, despite suffering, the nation began to reclaim peace and redefine itself beyond violence. Part 7. Peace, Culture, and a New Colombian Identity 2000s Present. In the 21st century, Colombia has taken bold steps toward peace and renewal. The government signed a historic peace deal with FARC in 2016, ending decades of armed conflict. While challenges remain, inequality, corruption, displacement, Colombia is rising. Its music, literature, and art, from Gabriel Garcia Marquez to Shakira and Cumbia, have captivated the world. Tourism is growing. Cities like Medellin are becoming models of innovation, and indigenous and Afro-Colombian voices are gaining strength. Colombia today is not just a story of struggle, it's one of resilience, reinvention, and unstoppable spirit. The past still echoes, but the future is being written, every day, by the people of Colombia.